Hey everybody, welcome to another fast and loose watercolor painting demo. I am Joe Menza, and the last few paintings I've done I did more greens and browns, and I thought maybe this time I'll try to warm things up a little bit. So right now we're working with 11 by 15 Strathmore Wind Power 140 pound cold press paper. The last one I did Canson XL. This isn't a very expensive paper, but it's actually a pretty decent paper for something that you would buy off the shelf. And you can see it's a spiral bound type paper. So we're going to do my usual 3 wet coatings, and then also my usual raw sienna. So we're going to just hit some basic areas with raw sienna. We'll leave a little bit of white going here. Not really sure where I'm going with this one yet. Find out as we go. Of course, it'll be a landscape as usual. Now this time we're going to try to warm things up a little bit. So we're going to do some ultramarine blue with some light red. So we're going to try to get some warmth out of this time. Try to do some different things with color, maybe more of an evening scene. And I'll come across here with this. A little bit more light red, a little more ultramarine. Now, one of the things you could do is you can wet and dry your brush. And if you want to take off some paint, you can almost make some clear spaces and some areas where there might be clouds. Brush has got to be pretty dry to do it though. And you can actually create some cloud areas. There's kind of an interesting effect. You can also do the same with a tissue. Your mileage, as usual, may vary. Okay, so some layering. Let's do some trees in the background. Do almost like more of a fall scene. Do some yellow, some light red. We'll have some reddish trees in the background. Hopefully it still looks red. I don't want it to go to the brown side. Almost like a fall sort of scene. Get some yellow. Just kind of vary it up a little bit. A little bit more red on the tree tops. And then we'll take a little bit of Van Dyke brown, maybe a little neutral Payne's gray. We'll just lay in some darks. Vary it up a little bit. Now, let's say you were doing some water here and you wanted to make some reflections with this. Well, you take a little bit of your Van Dyke brown while it's still wet, pull it down, or whatever brown that you used here. Take a little bit of your red, pull that down, some of that yellow, and start creating. This is going to be your reflected area. A little bit more red. Oh, it's a nice little reflected river scene there. Put a few dots in there, and there's a little bit of something dark here, so we'll make some dark streaks in through here. This is our land area. So let's go ahead and do a quick dry. You don't want anything to happen to that. Just a quick dry. Nothing too strong of drying. We still want it to stay a little wet and a little open we're going to take, I'm going to actually, I don't want to disturb my other brush. I'm going to take my medium Hake. Actually, you know what? Let's, instead of the medium Hake, let's just take a flat brush and I'm just going to take and make some little ripples in the water real quick while it's still wet. Might have to keep dipping it and drying it to get that desired effect. Just to get some ripples going in the water. That's not too bad. That looks pretty good, I think. Don't want to overdo it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get a little more of the brown, raw sienna, and finish doing the little landmass that's in here. That'll separate it from the reflections that we have going on. A little bit of Payne's gray. Mix up the bottom a little bit so that it's not perfectly uniform, so it looks like a shore. Looks like maybe there's even little coves back in there. Most shorelines, when you look at them dead on, they're not perfectly flat across. Okay. There we have that. Okay, let's take a little bit of our raw sienna. Let's start just dropping in a little bit of a, wash the brush, just dropping in a little bit of a land-based area here. Keeping it weak because we can come back on top with more color. And we'll do the same over here. Just a little bit of a landmass. So we have this open area of water here. Take a little bit of the red, same colors we got on top, a little bit of the blue, and a little more of the blue. Come across here, make our jetties, peninsulas, whatever you want to call them, sticking out. A little more brown. I like brown, as you can probably see from my paintings. Burnt umber. I'm going to try to keep this a little bit classically lighter here. Okay, a little bit of Payne's gray, darken up these bases of these jetties, just to give them a little definition. Just a little bit of a defined effect coming out. Maybe they just peek out of the water a little bit. Same thing in through here. Just a little peekage there. A little bit more blue just to get something going on this land here. And just to keep things interesting, do some little rocks. The little shimmering of light rocks tends to give you something to dazzle your eye a little bit. All right, there's that. So let's do a quick dry. All right, let's put some trees in. A little further back in the back here, we'll do a few little trees. Take our rigger brush, nice and wet. Now just real quick, we'll do some squiggles and wiggles. Nothing to get us stressed out over. That was probably a little too large. There's nothing you can't really fix though. You're going over something. And again, there's going to be some leaves on those trees. And even if you weren't planning on leaves, you can drop some in if it looks kind of bad. Let's do a tree out here that goes off the top of the page. And do some little branches to start with. Let's come right back to our rigger brush very quickly. That paint's still wet, and we'll just run off some branches very quickly. Anything here. This part can be a little time consuming if you're doing a lot of branches. If you're going to cover it with leaves, don't get too stressed out about it. Just make them look random. You sit there planning them, they're not going to look as random. These don't look too bad. That doesn't look too bad. Let's take our card. Give this a little scrape coming down. Give that a little bit of a look. And that tree is done. Okay? Let's give them a little bit more of land to sit on here. And a little bit of grass. Probably come back to that because it's still pretty wet in that spot. I'm going to take my other Hake brush because I don't want to clean that one off, and I'm going to get some yellow and some red for these trees here, just to keep in the theme of sort of the yellow and the red. So those trees got a little bit of a fall look to it, a little raw sienna. And finally, little Payne's gray, just that might be too much. And I'll come back with a little bit more of the red over the top. And we got a little bit of a fall tree effect there. This one here, because it's fall, I'm going to say like they've already kind of fallen off a little bit. There's maybe still a few little brown leaves left. So we're just going to give this one a little hint that there's still some leaves left on this tree. Is it weird doing a fall thing? This is summer's right around the corner. I mean, where are you going to get these colors, right? So there's a little bit right there to work with. Okay, so that's enough of that. Let's come back and let's just do some grasses here. Just dry brush the tips. A little bit of grass on the edges of these. Nothing to get too stressed out about. Now, one thing I am going to do is I'm going to come back with that other brush, and I could use like a paper towel or something here, but if I have any handy, what I wanted to do was I want to take a little more of this. I should be able to do this without it. I want to do a couple more. Just a couple more ripples. Kind of lost them a little bit. Yeah, that's probably not the best thing to do, but we'll just sweep it all the way across. Paper towel would have been better. Let me go grab it. And you're making little ripples going across like so. You can take the edge of the dry edge of the paper towel and you can sweep it across. And it'll create a nice effect. I've probably overdone it a little bit, but it'll get by. It'll be fine. It's just more of a windy day. And we get to pretty much the idea. And you can do the same thing. I was talking about this in the last video. You can actually put little ripples in here and just kind of dab at it. And create little white areas where water is, creating a little bit of a light area. Where the water's gathering. Alright, so that's not too bad. We'll put couple little birds up in the sky. That's pretty nice. Put another guy over here. That's not a bad little scene. Got our light coming down in the right spot. We've got a nice little group of trees and shoreline back there. Let me sign this one and then I'll show close-ups of the final product after it dried. Thanks for watching, everybody. Okay, so here is the finished painting. I went in and I added a few little details. I took my little white gel pen, just added some highlights, and I also added a few more little branches here, and I also just added a few little twigs. I don't know if you can really see those, just to kind of give it a little bit more detail. So that's it. You can see the reflections there, a few little birds I added in the sky. And that's it for our fall reflections scene. Thanks for watching.